Welcome back to another video. In this one, we're gonna be hopping in Brad Hawthorne's boat. We got a little bit of a crew here. We got me, we got Brad, we got Charlie Peterson and Sam Larsen, who both work over at Northland. So without further ado, let's jump right into the video. We're gonna be targeting walleyes. We're gonna be using plastics. So let's jump in with the first fish.
Nice fish. You had 3 snaps on that and pow.
Well, you just got bumped and I was like, when are they hitting it? I said, right as you picked up, there was pressure and boom. He was right there. So back-to-back casts. We're using these eye candy paddle shads. And we're talking about the benefits of fishing with them in walleye, and they're awesome. They're hard to beat. And when you can catch fish after fish, same lure.
Well, the cool part is, like, I don't know if anyone picked up on that. What you're throwing looks extremely like a shiner.
Yeah.
Like,
and I think we have kind of a cutaway of a shiner minnow compared to that, but I think you can use a little heavier jig. You can rip it a little bit harder than a live shiner.
Way harder.
And that really gets some bites to go sometimes. So.
If you're looking for a good, just a real good snap jigging lure, super glue these to whatever jig, and literally there's no limit to how hard you can work it.
Yeah.
You can snap your line and it's not going to come off the jig shank.
I don't even have this one super glued right now, and she's right ready for the next fish.
So we've had the opportunity to play with these eye candy plastics for a decent amount of time now, not only since the baits have been released, but also kind of during the development stage as well. And there's a lot of cool characteristics about them, things that make them good, but one of those things is the buoyancy of the material that they use to make these plastics. So Sam, who is the main guy over at Northland as far as product development goes, Sam is gonna talk a little bit about why the buoyancy factor is so important when it comes to these baits.
We all saw him on the live there, and I actually didn't see him, but Nick saw him and my cast was right by his, so I was like, oh, there's fish there, and sure enough, another one on the paddle shad. So that one kind of hit off the bottom a little bit, and I think, again, it goes towards, look at that stretch, the buoyancy of this material, and that's, when it's falling, that jig head will actually stand up because the material is so buoyant. So you're ripping it up, letting it pause, and those fish are just picking them up at the bottom. And as soon as you go to pick up on them, they're there. And you can just whack them. And again, ready for another fish.
All right, next up, I'm gonna talk about some of the different profiles in the eye candy lineup. You know, a lot of the guys were using the paddle shad on this particular day, but there's a few other shapes that I really like. And I was actually using something that was a little bit different, so I'm gonna break that down in this next segment.
Nick, nice one.
Here we go. How do you like that guy? So that one actually went on the smelt minnow, which is just a straight tail. It's actually got the fork tail on the back there. But one last look at this fish before I let him go. So a lot of the guys right now are fishing the paddle shad, and the reason I went with a straight tail is just for a little bit of a different look. But one thing that's cool about this lineup is that it's not just a couple shapes, they actually have a number. So they have this minnow profile, they have actually, so this is a 4-incher, and if you really want to, you can stretch it out and make it a 2-footer. But this is the 4-incher. They have a 3-incher as well. They have the paddle tail, and then they actually have 2 different crawler profiles as well. And one of them is more set up for rigging, and another one is more set up for jigging. And actually, we were talking about it before, and Brad was saying, like, he's like, oh, that's like the small finesse plastic, like Ned rigging special right there.
It is, it truly is. That little jig crawler, like, anyone that's Ned rigged walleyes knows that that's going to be the icy bait for
oh yeah, for sure. Just pitching jigs at pods of fish. But for me, like, I love minnows. Like, I was popping that thing. You didn't get to see it on the GoPro because I was fishing in the back of the boat, but I was kind of ripping it. And so, yeah, so that's kind of like a quick rundown on just the different profiles they have. And actually, in the other boat over there, Mike has actually been creaming them on the grub. So there's also a grub. But I can tell you right now, the smelt minnow is gonna be one of my favorites. And I know I'm probably just gonna leave this thing tied on because we got rip jigging up in the weeds here coming up in the next week or so on some of my favorite local lakes, and this guy's gonna get the job done. All right, next up we're gonna pass it off to Charlie Peterson, and he's gonna talk a little bit about the scent factor.
Just kind of dragging behind the boat there with the paddle shad, and actually I just put this one on. We soaked a few in some scent when we started fishing plastics, and I just put it on, cast behind the boat, and I popped it a couple times, but that one just kind of hit it when I was laying on the bottom. So one thing we've been doing is experimenting a lot with these plastics, and we found out that these things they absorb a lot of scent. So like we'll put them into a bag with different scent. You can kind of pick whatever scent you like, put it in the bag, let it sit overnight, and the next morning all that scent will be soaked up into the plastic, and your bag will actually be dry. So that's what we did with this one right here. Last night we put some scent in there, and I just put it on actually and just caught that one. So we're gonna get back out there and see if that scent is the real deal. Added on that eye candy paddle shad.
Wow, Charles, what do we got going on here?
Well, we had a school of walleye sitting in front of us, and they wouldn't quite eat, but put the paddle shad down there and gave it a couple pops.
Ooh, that's a good one.
You got a pretty good one here.
That's a real good one. Here, I'm coming with you. Behind you with the net. And with the net. That's a real one.
Yes.
That's a real one.
Here we go. Another one on the paddle shad. Just kind of giving it little small jig strokes like that, and he just crushed it.
All right, now we're gonna wrap up this video with one last walleye. This one's from Brad, the captain of the ship.
So, proof in the pudding, literally freshly opened eye candy packages 3 hours ago. We put 30 or 40 fish in the boat, including, I gotta net this one. I'm not swinging this big guy. Including big old slots like this. So like, and here is how simple this is. Literally how simple this approach is. I think sometimes people get like way too overcomplicated with things. Tungsten jig, eye candy plastic, a little bit of a curly tail there, equals this. This equals this on the lax. This is a pressured body of water. There've been 600-700 boats through here, and literally this little guy right here is catching the fish. So go out. If you can't find shiners, if you're having a hard time finding whatever you want to find, you can tie these on and you're gonna catch fish with them all year long. So there you go. As I say, proof's in the pudding. Watch this video, take a look at all the fish that we caught, and believe in it, because literally these plastics go through fish and they put them right where you need to be, which is either in your live well or back in the lake.
Well, that's about all we got for you in this one. Special thanks to Brad, special thanks to Sam, special thanks to Charlie, and hopefully you enjoyed this video and you learned something. And if you did, make sure to hit that little red subscribe button down below, because we have a lot more awesome content coming in the future. And until then, we will see you in the next one.